What's up, guys? So today we are privileged to be sat down here with Mensah, an Olympian competitor who competes in women's fitness. She's also dabbled a little bit in figure as well. And we're going to go into kind of that conversation about her history, how she got into things. But then, as you know, with me, we like to take a deep dive into how Michelle here actually, achieved arguably one of the top physiques in the world. So her strategies behind, she's currently in prep at the moment. Her strategies behind that. We were speaking a little bit before the camera started recording about her peak week, which is a little bit novel. So we'll be discussing that in a short while, and how she approaches that and why she approaches it that way. And then go into her training and various other topics as well. So first off, where did it all begin? Where did fitness begin? Because I know you've got a long list of skills.
Yes.
Job titles.
Yes.
Various things that you do. How you do it, I don't know, because you're just so.
Yeah.
It just seems like you're so busy.
Yeah.
Where did it all start?
So where did I start my bodybuilding journey?
Fitness, like we can go all the way back
in general. Go back to childhood.
Let's go back to childhood.
Right.
Yeah.
So
what's the mentality behind
Yes. Well, I've been active all my life, apparently from birth. My mom said. Okay. To my mom. But I actually started doing gymnastics on a competitive level at the age of 8.
Wow.
8 years old. Yeah.
How was it at the age of 8? Is it something you decided yourself? Did your parents push you into it? How did that kind of come about?
So my mum always encouraged me to do an extracurricular activity, but she didn't push me to gymnastics. Yeah. I chose it. In fact, her sport was karate.
Okay. Kind of gymnastic.
Yeah, I wasn't very good at that.
Okay.
She can break wood and all this stuff,
wow.
But I'll leave it to her.
Yeah.
But yes, I chose gymnastics. I apparently looked at TV one time and was like, oh, I want to do that. Yes, and then...
Let's be honest, we all, even if you're not interested in the Olympics, you still have the gymnastics on.
Yes.
Like, it's still one of the main things that you have on, just because it's so amazing how they just can do those feats of strength with their own body weight, what they can achieve.
Yes.
And like with what you do now and how you compete now, you can see that artistic component obviously come into it. And we'll have a chat in a bit about like your approach now and your crazy approach at the moment with training and how you balance everything else out. So how did so gymnastics from the age of 8 years old, how did that kind of progress throughout the years?
So when I started just before I was 8. I went to a recreational fun class, as you do, and within 6 months I was put onto the squad. So from a young age I was very driven, and I remember getting homework back saying, oh, if you can get a forward roll, a back roll, and if you can get walkovers, you can go to this class, or you can go to this class, which is a bit higher. So I remember coming home and saying to my mom, I need to get a walkover. She was like, oh, you just started. So anyways, my mom has always been so encouraging. So she said to me, okay, this is where you want to get. Let's research it. So she would go and research it. So she'd be like, fine, you need to get a bridge. You need to get this, you need to get that. So after all my sessions, I would go home and practice. And then I got the walkovers, obviously with a bit of guidance from the gym as well. And after that, I decided to try out for the next class. Did very well, got into that class, and then one day my mum got stopped and said, oh, I think she's ready to be on a squad, let's trial her. So that's pretty much what happens.
Wow. So what skills, apart from the physical, what mental skills did gymnastics instill within you that you've managed to use nowadays as weapons?
Discipline. And mindset.
Because you still obviously practice gymnastics as well, which we'll go into. And obviously it's an important part of your routine as well. So, it all goes hand in hand. But, especially with the discipline side of things and doing something each day that's hard
Yes.
and wanting to achieve, you know, the level, always wanting to level up and get a little
Always.
bit better at something.
Yeah.
And that sounds like something you were doing from a very young age. Like,
Yes.
oh, I can do this. There's a level I can get to. But why can't I get to this level? Why can't I get to this one up here? It just
Yes.
sounds like you always a little bit like, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little
Always
bit more.
been that way.
Yeah.
I've always been the type where I don't know if I see things as projects,
Yeah.
but I've got to finish them. Whatever that may be in my head.
Yeah.
So, you know, whether it be get to cheerleading, for example, was get to world standards.
Yeah.
Go to world cheerleading in Florida, which I did with my
Amazing.
daughter.
Wow.
After having my daughter. So,
How long after having your daughter?
this was 6 months after having her.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you've obviously achieved, you know, multiple sports, multiple disciplines,
Yeah.
achieved a level of success that, you know, any average person would be happy at achieving in one of those things.
Yes.
You know, so let's fast forwards
Yep.
to today and how you approach your training, your nutrition.
Yeah.
But first off, tell us a little bit about what you've achieved over the last few years in the world of physique sports and some of like the highlights
Yeah.
for you.
Wow, there's been so many. I think I'm still on a cloud still.
Yeah.
I don't think anything could take me off the cloud. But wow, let's start with being an amateur for 4 weeks.
Yeah, a lot of people would have been annoyed at you for that short period of time.
Yeah. So my first regional. So I had to do a regional in order to step on the Arnold's UK stage. So that's winning fitness, and I did get a few firsts and a second in figure as well.
Wow.
At that regional. And then going on to the Arnold's UK, which is pretty much getting every single dream in one go.
Yeah.
So winning my pro card that Friday,
Yeah.
then get invited to a pro show, which is a dream in itself too.
All coming on at once. So.
Winning the pro show, and then getting invited to the ultimate Olympia,
Absolutely.
all in one weekend.
That's absolutely mental. Like,
Yeah.
so how long was that actual period of time that you're talking about there? It's not a massive amount.
Not long. I started prepping from March 2021 and then stepped on stage end of September, October for the Arnold's UK.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what kind of set you apart then? Okay, what was it that you think the judges were seeing, or what was it about maybe the look that you might have seen that, you know, because clearly you were in amazing shape.
Yeah.
So, you know, to be getting not just first in one category, but first, second in other categories,
Yeah.
just to enter it for the sake of entering it.
Yeah.
Like clearly there was something there.
So with me, the way my mind works is I see everything as a puzzle, and you just have to put the pieces together. So I research everything that I do. Even if I have a coach, I still research everything.
That's true, yeah.
And I make sure that I maximize the criteria, because I got taught that as a gymnast.
Yeah.
You know, in order to get, you know, the execution and difficulty marks. And, you know, gymnastics is I know you're not perfect and we're not all perfect, but gymnastics is known as a perfectionist sport.
Yeah.
You know, so you not only have to do a skill, you have to do it perfect.
Yeah.
In order to get, you know, the marks. So I pretty much approached, I guess, anything I did after that the same way. Even though I entered bodybuilding as a hobby,
Yeah.
I didn't want to place any pressure on myself, because I already done things that were pressurizing in extent, although I loved it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do something that will last until I was old, I guess. Something that will keep me healthy and fit,
Yeah.
and inevitably build a body that I dreamed of building as well, and able me to do, you know, things that I love doing.
Yeah, which obviously is working out.
Yes, I guess so. Here I am today.
Yeah, as well as the gymnastic side of things and things like that. So actually, let's go back to that first prep,
Yes.
right? So first off, what went really well from that first prep? What did you learn from that first prep, or, you know, fat loss phase that you might, or did you learn nothing? and it was all just got negatives out of it, and learnt some lessons for the future. What did you get out of that first prep?
I learned a lot that this process is about mindset.
Yeah.
Literally. So, you know, dieting and preparing for a show is all about your mind, because that's what got me through from day to day.
Yeah.
You could throw anything at me, but my mind was stable. And I think that's literally because of, you know, my sporting background and the disciplines I've been in. So I'm all about ticking boxes, as I, you know, said in previous, you know, places.
Yeah.
So if I'm told I need to do this to get from A to Z, I will do it.
Yeah.
You know, as long as I understand it though.
Yes.
So with me, if I don't understand a process, I will A, ask a lot of whys,
Yeah.
or B, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
I need to understand it. But once I understand it, I'm like, oh, okay, cool, let's go.
But that's awesome, because it means you're highly coachable.
Yeah.
Because you've got that ticking boxes, I call it robot element to you.
I am,
You can literally just, I will do it. I'll just get it done,
Yeah.
you know, because I know that this right now is going to get me to that right there, right?
Yeah.
You know how to tick boxes. But at the same time, so actually let's kind of backpedal a little bit,
Yeah.
because otherwise I'm just going to go off tangent.
Yes.
Because there's so many questions
Yeah.
that we could go down here.
There's so
And, like,
many,
we
yeah.
are honestly like breezing through here.
Yes.
So let's go. Let's reel it in. What things did you learn in that first prep
Yes.
that you have improved on since? What might have gone wrong? What have you improved on, and how has that come into play with this current prep?
I would say time management.
Okay.
As much as I did have good time management skills, because I was able to pack in a lot in the day, I needed to make my life so that this was a lifestyle, you know, and went with my life, as well as being able to do things socially,
Yep.
as well as being able to recover properly, because I was seen as someone who would just work and work and work and work and work.
Yeah.
And I realized I do need downtime. I do need to structure my day so that I am also doing things that I enjoy doing. As much as obviously I enjoy the gym, I absolutely love what I do, but I need to do other things that take my mind away from it too.
Yes.
And also having a daughter as well. So, you know, enjoying the process with her. I didn't want to be that person that was always stressed out and, you know, shouting at her maybe, or, you know, getting irritated. So
Yeah.
I had to kind of work out a system where I'm able to do both
Yeah.
as well, and so that she didn't miss out on anything.
Yeah.
And I'm able to, you know, be where I'm supposed to be with her too. So her events, her functions, she's an elite gymnast herself.
Oh,
So
fantastic.
in power tumbling.
There's some good genes there somewhere.
So
Does she, have you brought her into the gym yet? Does she do stuff in this gym? Does she lift weights to resistance outside of the stuff that she'll be doing in gymnastics?
so she doesn't come to this gym per se,
It's a bit of a, yeah.
bit of an adult gym.
Yeah, a little bit.
She's come here though to visit. You know, we filmed the other day for our YouTube, and she goes to her own gym. In fact, she goes to the cheerleading place that I started at, I should say, that took me to Worlds. So she goes there.
Okay.
So again, if I obviously entrusted in coaches and they got me to a certain place, I thought, why, if she has the opportunity, why don't she go there?
Yeah.
So she went there and they started a power tumbling sort of squad.
Okay.
And at that time, it was in the developing stages, but now it's been developed, and she absolutely enjoys that stem of gymnastics. So she didn't want to do what I did.
Yeah.
And I believed in not pushing her into something she don't want to do.
Yeah.
So-
it just sounds like it came naturally. She's seen you.
did, yeah.
She's seen you as an influence.
Yes.
But like even you saying that she goes to her own gym, there's that independence as well.
Yes.
It's her own thing. There's no,
Yes.
let's get you in the gym. Like
No. And I also told the coaches as well, which in fact they didn't do anyways, do not see her as me.
Okay.
See her as her own individual.
Yes.
So do not be like, oh, your mom did so well, so you should be doing well. I don't like that. I want her to be her own individual person.
Yeah.
And I want her to have the same amount of love that I have for what I do. So I've always encouraged her, and if she wants to stop, she stops. If not, you know, I will, you know, make sure that she has the best in terms of able to, you know, maximize her capabilities as far as she wants to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to parents that are trying to get their kids into doing more sports, fun activities and things like that? How would you suggest that they throw them into whatever they want to choose? What was your approach with her that seemed that as though she kind of enjoyed that process?
I think it's kind of like the approach my mom did, which was she put me in, you know, loads of activity camps, and I kind of chose the sports that I liked, and then it went from there. So
you went from broad and then narrowed down.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you say you've narrowed down. You've kind of still fairly broad.
Yeah, that's true.
Arguably.
Arguably, yes. Yeah. So yeah, just, you know, let them try whatever they want to try.
Yes.
You know, if they look at the TV and decide that tennis looks great, all right, go to tennis. Okay, fine. That's not suiting me.
Yeah.
Okay, you want to do the circus? Okay, let's go to the circus school down the road. So that's exactly what I did, and I'm so grateful for that because I was able to find what I absolutely love. And it's not just gymnastics, you know, there's other disciplines I can enjoy as well.
Yeah, and there's so many transferable skills to life.
Exactly.
Even to an office job life. You know, in so many sports, you know, the teamwork, discipline, you know, getting stuff done, you know, always wanting to level up. There's so many kind of carryovers there.
Yes.
It's just, you know. So, again, let's go down the route of getting into great shape, basically. Okay, so first off, how long, because you're in prep right now.
Yeah.
How far out right now are you?
3 weeks.
You're 3 weeks. How long has your prep been?
This prep's been 11 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what does your prep look like so far in terms of like body composition changes? Do you tend to start before you drop into that fat loss phase, are you relatively close to stage weight most of the year? Have you got a lot to lose? Like, how does it kind of look for you? Is it quite aggressive?
It's not aggressive, simply because I have a fast metabolism. So I was very slim and small when I started this. In fact, I find it more difficult to keep body weight on.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's my type of body.
Yeah.
You know that saying goes, the grass is always greener on the other side. I'm not sure, but you know, I find it very hard to keep weight on. So my body just wants to get rid of the muscle. It wants to go back to being a tiny person.
Yes.
So I need to be careful of that. So I need to make sure I'm on a diet where I'm able to lose the fat, but as well as keep the muscle on.
Yeah.
And not lose it.
So have you done much cardio in this prep?
Most of my cardio is gymnastic based.
Okay.
Yes, that's
so
it.
you've not been slogging it on the Stairmaster for an hour every day?
No Stairmaster.
No typical prep,
No
you know, where
Stairmaster
everyone does the Stairmaster for...
I just go to a class and do calisthenics or tricking or tumbling class. Actually, it's been really fun.
Because it's output, isn't it? That is your energy, that's your calorie output.
You're in a deficit, right?
Exactly.
It's not rocket science.
It's not rocket science at all.
Yeah,
but I suppose if you're at a desk job all day, you know, you've got to get an hour for the gym, and then you've got to get it in somewhere else. Sure, you know, squeeze in that little bit of cardio, whatever. But if you can, it's not even get away with it. It's because still putting in the work. If you can have that as part of your life, that output as part of your life, and you know, ingrained in part of your life, like you know, James Waters, one of our elite physique coaches. So he's a part-time PE teacher as well. So during his prep, he's just more conscious of walking around, correcting. Not to say he doesn't correct things anyway. But he's more conscious of getting those steps in, being a bit more proactive within those classes, within those sessions. Versus maybe outside of prep, he's just not as concerned with being as active. So he's squeezing that extra output into his day, which just, you know, which means also that, say he gets home and by 9 o'clock at night, he doesn't have to go out for another walk just to get those steps in or that output. So you've done no cardio to this point?
No,
No typical gym
no
cardio.
typical gym cardio I don't do anymore. I walk everywhere anyways,
Yeah.
so my steps are through the roof.
We just said it's like midday here and you're already on like 11,000
Yeah,
steps.
I think there was
so-
one time I was like, perhaps I get an Uber because I've done too many steps.
Yeah.
Because again, I'm trying to now focus on recovery. Less is more with me. So I have to focus on me sitting down a bit, rather than standing all day and getting swollen from PTing, for example.
Yeah.
When I was a full-time gymnastics coach, some of the places I went to, I had to get out the equipment. I didn't take all these things into factor. Like,
Right.
I would spend 2 hours getting out heavy tumble tracks, heavy mats.
Yep.
This is all cardio. This is
100%.
all, and it could be weights.
Yeah.
I'm lifting huge mats.
Yeah.
You know, and I was wondering, I was like, how is this? Why am I so fatigued? But because I didn't factor these things in, so now I factor everything in that I do. So that's why I'm able to, let's say, necessarily do the conventional treadmill,
Yeah.
because I want to enjoy my classes that I do, and they're pretty full on. I'm going at it for the whole hour, you know, up and down and up
Yeah,
and down
yeah.
and up and down. One time I counted how many steps I did in a gymnastic class, and it was 6,000 steps,
Oh, wow.
and that's me tumbling.
Just in that.
So it's not just
yeah.
me walking.
Yes.
I am tumbling. I am
Yeah.
going. I am going. I am going.
I don't know whether an Apple Watch records a tumble. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It recorded it as some sort of steps, so my
Throws it in as a
step counter moved.
Yeah, it moved one place.
Yeah.
So if we go back to like the beginning of prep, what happened with your calories and your nutrition?
Mm-hmm.
Was there much of a drop in your calories? Much of a drop in your intake? Carbs come down, fats come down? What was it? So it's like, okay, Sunday, normal, Monday, drop into prep. What happened?
I'm pretty much one of those people who can just switch it on. So.
Go away.
So you'd be like, okay, fine, you're prepping on Monday, Sunday, okay.
Yeah.
Enjoy Sunday, whatever that may be.
I heard you like a Krispy Kreme.
Krispy Kreme is nice, yes. My actual favorite, which I got told is not a proper cheat or treat meal, is Cheerios.
Interesting. Yeah.
So apparently I can have a lot of Cheerios
Right. Yeah.
because it's not proper.
Yeah. Yeah.
I get told, go have a burger.
Yeah.
So instead, I love Cheerios. In fact, I think I like simple carbs because of gymnastics days.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to have a treat or cheat meal, I want to have Cheerios or tuna, plain tuna with some spring onion and pasta.
Right.
To me, it's so good.
Yeah.
And my body will go nuts. I want to do everything.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much me. I think it's because I did this from such a young age.
Yeah.
I just became so disciplined. And if I break routines, I actually go a bit haywire.
Yeah.
So I need the discipline.
So do you track your macros, your protein, fats, carbs?
Yes.
Or do you do?
Yes.
So how do they kind of look? How do they look at the beginning of prep? Have they changed much, or has it just been like, you know what, they're working, we're chipping away here?
If it's working, I just keep chipping away. In fact, it hasn't changed that much this prep. So first of all, I do carb cycling, but not in the conventional way.
Yeah.
So carbs do not get removed. So I have high days and low days.
Yeah.
So at the beginning of prep, for example, I would have the days that I'm doing weights only would be on like 1800.
Yeah.
And then the days that I'm doing gymnastics, full out routines, or, you know, heavy skill days will be at 2100. In fact, that has stayed up until this day.
Wow.
The 2100.
Yeah.
The only thing that will change is the number of days I'm on 2100. So I was on 2100 for 3 days. It's probably going to go down to 2 days this week. And my days where I do weights has gone down to 1500, but it's pretty much stayed there the entire time.
Not many big changes there, but that's a good thing, you know,
Yeah.
because you've started. It's one of the biggest things I see with any prep is that's it. We're in prep mode day one,
Yeah.
and suddenly throwing a load of tools at you.
Yeah.
You know, if day one we throw every tool at you in the box, and we pull your carbs down or pull your fats down. If we start adding this cardio in, maybe some high intensity sessions during the week, your volume might increase in your weights, workouts, whatever. You've then got nothing left
Yeah.
to use if you need another tool.
Yeah.
When things eventually, which they do, they start to stall midway towards the
plateau.
end.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you ride it out. You do as little as you possibly can for as long as you possibly can.
Yeah.
Keep it as simple as you can.
Yeah.
And then and only then you start to add or use the tools that you've got at your disposable,
Yes.
disposable tools
Yeah.
to keep chipping away and take that to the next level. Hence
Yeah.
why you've managed to keep your calories, by any standards, high.
Yeah.
You're not on some 1,200 calorie day or something.
No. Yeah.
Because
Not yet.
not yet. You're, during your peaking phase,
Yes, but yeah.
it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
But you've not had to pull your calories all the way down because your output has stayed up naturally throughout prep anyway.
Yeah.
And as you said, you haven't had to add any additional cardio or an extra step count or whatever every day, hitting 20,000 steps a day or something silly like that.
Yeah.
So how do your weeks look like right now? So conversation we had before this, you were talking
Yes.
about your gymnastics, you actually now do a little bit more than your weights during the week.
Yes.
Okay.
So weights has become secondary. And in my category, I think I've said this numerous times everywhere, my physique is 30%.
Yeah.
So it should be secondary at the moment.
Yeah.
Once obviously built the muscle required, which I've been told I have. So now it's just keeping that on and then homing in on conditioning.
Yeah.
And the routine is 70%. So
Yeah.
I could have a great physique, but if I can't get through my routine,
Yes.
I'm not going to do as well as I would like to do.
Absolutely.
So what I did is I thought, well, go and be a gymnast. So my weight sessions are very short.
Yeah.
The longest is about 1 hour and 15,
Okay.
if that. The shortest is 45 minutes.
So how many days a week are you lifting right now?
So I'm lifting 5 days a week still. My split is a bit different though because I've maximized some of my muscle groups.
Yeah.
So I typically don't train my triceps too much and biceps. I do one set on biceps just to maintain a week.
Yeah.
I hit all 3 heads. There's a machine downstairs that hits all 3 heads.
Oh, wow, okay.
So I do a 777, which equals
Yeah.
21.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay.
The biceps. I do biceps and gymnastics all the time, so I don't
Yeah.
necessarily have to hit it, straight on with exercises. And I also utilize biceps in other machines that I do. We all
Yeah.
do. And triceps. So triceps, when I used to train my triceps, I noticed I would get numb triceps and wouldn't be able to perform in gymnastics.
Yeah.
Because gymnastics is a lot of triceps. I don't know if anyone's noticed.
Yeah.
A lot of triceps. A lot of traps.
Yeah.
Hence why the traps.
Yeah.
So I tend to stay away from trap-orientated exercises too.
Yes.
Because I can grow traps pretty quickly. And I do use my traps in gymnastics
Yeah.
for,
And I think you've mentioned as well, like, because of your gymnastic background, you were able to, or you already had some foundations there with your lats as well.
Yes,
But
yeah.
then I think I've heard you mention on previous podcasts and interviews that you had to really work kind of more on your lower back
Yes.
to kind of be even with your upper back. And then
Yeah.
obviously we'll go on to legs in a minute. But,
Yeah.
that working on that lower back, have you managed to bring up that lower back up to par, or is that something that you're still kind of working on?
No, I brought that up, yeah.
Okay.
I'm the type of person, you tell me to bring something up, you need to tell me to bring it up slightly, or don't tell me to just bring something up, because I will bring it up to the max.
Bring it up.
Yeah, so every time someone tells me now to bring something up, they're like, slightly, or just a little bit, or just a, because
So
I will
what-
go in.
What was your approach to building up your lower back? What type of exercises did you do a little bit more of? Or what did you found that helped you a little bit more build up your lower back?
Hyperextensions.
Okay.
Obviously, there's 2 different ways of doing hyperextension, more glute orientated and more back orientated. So I went and did the more back orientated one because I have a very developed upper glute.
Yeah.
It's more developed than my lower glute.
Okay.
So I went for that approach. I also did good old rack pulls.
Nice. Yeah.
I actually love rack pulls, they're fun.
It's because it's like a half deadlift.
Yes, it is, yeah.
Yeah.
You can lift a bit more.
Yes.
And I like the tension that I got on my lower back.
Yes.
That's why I got it. Because exercises can work differently on different bodies. So I found that engagement really good for me. And it brought up my lower back to match my upper back way quicker.
Yeah. So tell me about your lower body, because again, I think you've mentioned before that your upper body proportionally because of gymnastics was
Yes.
always a little bit better than your lower body.
Yeah.
So you've had to work quite hard. You know, you've got that glute shelf, that kind of upper glute, but
Yeah.
you've had to work quite hard on, you know, especially hamstrings, that glute hamstring tie-in.
Yes.
Then also your quads as well.
My quads, yeah.
So you still doing a lot more of that stuff at the moment in proportion to upper body, or?
So I have now managed to bring up my quads, which I got told respectfully at Olympia.
So you didn't just bring it up, you
I
brought
brought it
it up.
right up.
Yeah.
In fact, they told me I have really good quads now.
Okay.
And that's what I ever wanted.
Yeah.
I wanted someone to say, you don't have good traps, you have good quads.
Yeah.
So
goals.
that's how I work on my body parts. So I did that. So now it's just maintaining, again, just refining, conditioning. You can always condition,
Yeah.
you know, and refine and retune. So now it's a focus on my glutes and hams.
Yeah.
I started this in 2018, in June 22nd.
Yeah.
And things like glutes, lower glutes and hamstrings, it takes years to develop. And I simply just needed to play.
That's all right.
I simply just needed to play catch up.
Yeah.
So I have adapted my program so I train quads once a week and hamstrings and glutes focused
Yeah.
2 to 3 times a week.
Wow. What are some of your favorite exercises? I know we're gonna film some anyway today and go
Yes.
through some. But what are some of your favorite exercises that have helped you bring in those hamstrings, glutes, that glute hamstring tie?
I love a hip thrust. I love glute kickbacks,
Yeah.
stiff leg RDLs, kneeling hamstrings or bent over hamstrings. That really targets well. And after that, I tend to do lying hamstrings for warm up
Yeah.
as well.
It's always good just to warm up your hamstrings
Yeah.
before you do any squatting type motion, leg presses,
Yes,
whatever.
exactly.
Your knees just feel better,
Yeah.
better for longevity, get some
Yeah.
full range of motion in your hamstrings, get a
Yeah.
good pump, like,
Exactly.
and go from there.
Yeah.
So how are you with your training? Are you relatively consistent in terms of what exercises you use each week? Or are you very like, each week could look completely different and it's more like, I know I'm training that day, but it doesn't matter what exercises I'm using?
I could vary it up depending on the gym. You know, people are on machines.
Yeah.
So I could switch it up a bit. But I tend to stick to the foundations because that's what works for me. And then now and again I'll mix up, like I love Nordic curls.
Yeah.
So I might do that one day.
Humbling, yeah.
Yeah. Nordic girl holding a resistant band is always good as well.
Yes.
It's
As
one
in
of my-
like assisting you from behind.
Yes,
Yeah. Okay.
that's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
However, I do need to be mindful because they do really hurt my hamstrings afterwards and the DOMs. So I have to think about what exercises I do and my gymnastics schedule. So I actually plan my exercises around that.
Okay.
Because if I hit certain muscle groups too hard, I won't be able to perform in gymnastics the next day.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you track your workouts? Do you log how much weight you're lifting, or do you just auto-regulate on the day? That feels good. You know what? Go for a little bit more. Go for a little bit more. Go for a little bit more.
I've never logged.
Yeah.
I didn't log in gymnastics, didn't log in cheerleading, didn't log in. Yeah. I mean, logging could be good for some,
Yeah.
but I pretty much know where I'm at.
Yeah.
And I go by how I feel.
Yeah.
As long as I go to failure, whatever that state is,
Yeah.
I am happy.
So you're a big fan of pushing most sets close to failure, if not
Yes.
to all the way to technical failure.
Yeah.
None of this leave 2 or 3 reps in reserve.
No.
No.
Why?
I know.
Yeah.
I completely agree. But
I don't even believe in overtraining per
Yeah.
se. I do believe that if you feel tired and fatigued, have a rest.
absolutely.
Well, your body will tell you that, but I don't think overtraining exists, well, to me,
Yeah.
because I used to train 5-7 hours a day in gymnastics.
Yes.
So technically that should be overtraining, right? And right now I'm doing,
Yeah.
45 minutes to an hour 15 in weights. And gymnastic wise, I tend to keep that snappy as well now, an hour.
Yeah.
I only have one big session where I'm doing 2.5 hours in a session, in one big session, but it's broken down into a good warm up, skills,
Yes.
then routine, so there's plenty of breaks.
Yeah.
So
On top of the output that you have just in day to day.
just in day to day, step count, yeah. So my step count, I don't necessarily track and be like, I have to hit this.
Yeah.
I just walk everywhere. That's it. I gave up my car. I did.
That's a good way to increase your step count.
Saved me a lot of money.
Yeah, that's
and
it.
I walked everywhere. And in London, there's nowhere to park.
Yeah.
So I was like late everywhere anyways when I was driving. And it meant that I had to park up my car and find out what cardio I'm going to be doing. And, you know, it didn't work with my lifestyle and my daughter as well.
Yeah.
So I noticed that if I walked everywhere, I kept and maintained a physique, I should say. When you want to go into that off-season question, I still build. My calories do go higher, but I do like to maintain a certain amount of endurance and my body, I should say, my physique.
Yes.
That way I'm not dieting down so hard as well.
Yeah.
And then I can focus on, rather than dieting, I can focus on my skills, my routine, and lifting with great form. I'm all about form. I love form. I mean, that's gymnastics.
that form. Okay.
So my workouts can be quite slow.
Yeah, but again, like being very over analytical. I'm always to blame with with my clients. I'm a stickler for exercise execution and technique. That's what I'm more known for. But I really do think just being over the top. If you want to be over the top on one thing, it's how you perform an exercise. That exercise can be as simple as a bicep curl to a barbell back squat or something that's obviously more complex. But knowing where you should feel that, feeling it in the right place, and even playing about with exercises so you make sure you are feeling it with that exercise, experimenting with different angles, helps you find that path that's going to work better for you, but then also helps maintain your joints in the long run, less wear and tear, less mileage on the joints if you're performing movements as best as you can possibly can. I think one of the things I like to say is that some of the best physique athletes out there know how to make even a lightweight look heavy. Because even that light set, there's that intensity. There's
tension.
They're very, very aware of what they're doing. And that might be 20% of what they might end up lifting that day, but there's still that super awareness and high tension movement.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I train. So I like to keep the tension as well as performing it, correctly and then to failure. So, and my aim is to perform to failure without breaking that form. Hence why I think I'm able to prevent quite a few injuries along the way as well. Because with my category, getting injured will mean that I'm out of a routine as well as weight training. So I try to prevent as much as I can through, training correctly and warming up well.
So final question really, and then we're going to do some quick fire questions. Okay. Where we're kind of give listeners and watchers some advice about what they can do as well based on your approach. So final big question really is, you've achieved obviously a certain level right now. And I'm guessing because it's like all your Christmases came at once when you won that Arnold UK, and it's like, well, what do I do next? What do I do next? Well, where do you want to get to next?
I want to be number one in the world. I'm not going to
No.
sugarcoat that.
Don't sugarcoat.
But at the same time, how I get there and the time frame, I haven't put that on it. Again, I started this out with no pressure and just for pure love, and I want to keep it that way. So if it comes a point where I can't compete or, I have to take a break, I will take that break. As far as I'm concerned, the stage will be there, and I can come back. I've seen many people make a great comeback. And I'm going to listen to my body. Because I am now on my 5th prep in a row, luckily my body hasn't plateaued, and I've managed to, maintain my physique going along and improve. But I know there's going to be a point where I am going to have to sit down and think, I can't sustain this. So I'm just going with it at the moment and just listening to my body. So I was meant to do a show previous to the one I'm about to do, but my body was tired and fatigued. So I needed to take a little break, which I did. And, you know, I was happy for that. So again, if I do this show, for example, and my body says it can't go on, I will take a break. You know, I'm not the type where be like, I have to go to Olympia this year or else. No. You know, this is still my second year as well.
And there's no pressure.
There's no pressure. I haven't placed pressure on myself.
Yes.
And I don't let anyone else place pressure on me either. And I just want to enjoy the experience. I want to enjoy every time I go on stage. And if I don't have that joy, I am not stepping on stage. And that's just it for me. It's always going to be that way with bodybuilding, because I don't want to lose that. I felt like in the past when I did other sports that I kind of lost that love.
Yes.
Yeah. And I decided, and I made a promise to myself that I wouldn't with this. And I will listen to my body, I'll listen to how I'm feeling as well. And then, you know, see where it takes me.
Well, it's not done you too bad so far.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Here I am.
So let's go on some really quick fire questions.
Yes.
So first off, what are your personal favorite, let's say top 3 to 5 foods that are a staple in your prep? What keep repeating themselves?
Rice.
Rice?
Sweet potato.
Okay. Was that like plain boiled white rice?
Plain boiled white rice. I love jasmine rice.
Yeah. Do you get it in the packets to microwave, or do you just bulk cook it?
I've got a rice cooker.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. If I need to get the packets, I would, but I tend to cook it fresh and then measure it out.
Portion it throughout the week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Freeze, whatever I need to do.
Yeah.
Chicken.
Yes.
I do like turkey mince. I think that's really nice.
Yeah.
The 2% turkey mix. It's really good. Egg whites.
Yeah.
I'm a bit savage. I just drink it.
I don't think I've heard of fruit or vegetable there yet.
Berries.
Okay.
So blueberries with Greek yogurt. It's quite nice and refreshing.
Yeah.
And if I'm in a prep and I want to have something, you know, tantalizing, I will mix that up into like a little smoothie and freeze it.
Oh wow, like a blueberry popsicle kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
It tastes really good, I have to say. So I'll freeze it and then mix it up, and it kind of like a frozen Angel Delight.
Wow. Has that got any protein powder or anything in it? Or just
sometimes I add protein powder, sometimes I don't.
Oh.
I don't have that much protein powder per se. I tend to stick to more.
You eat your protein rather than supplement with
supplement
protein.
It, yeah.
Yeah.
Oats.
Okay, oats.
Yes, oats gets me through gymnastics. So different quantities.
Yes.
I have more oats when I'm doing gymnastics. Normally between 70 to 100 grams when I'm doing gymnastics. And then if I'm not, typically the 40 to 60 range.
So what's your oatmeal recipe? What do your oats look like?
My oats are pretty plain.
Go on then. Go on.
I do something maybe a bit strange. I'm not sure. Maybe other people do that. But I soak my oats overnight and then I blend it.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
So almost like oat flour ready bread, yes?
Yes, like ready bread. I love ready bread.
With chocolate.
Yes.
With chocolate in. Yeah.
But I'm actually a very plain person.
Okay.
For example, if I'm going to have an ice cream, I always have vanilla.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I pretty much have plain oats blended.
Okay. Made with
water
or
and a little bit of no sugar almond milk.
Yeah.
A little bit of stevia or white chocolate flavor drops.
Got it.
That is it.
Do you have any protein with that or any fats with that as well?
I drink my egg whites.
You drink your egg whites?
Yeah, I cannot stomach cooked egg whites. I do try and have half and half because I know they absorb differently. But it's working.
Yeah. You don't add any flavoring to them or anything?
Sometimes I'll add a little bit of, again, this might be strange, but chocolate, my protein flavor drops.
Okay.
I added 2 little drops of that and it tastes like chocolate.
Wow.
And I just literally go. And that's it. Rather than, I remember one time I made this whole mound of eggs and I just felt sick. I couldn't eat it.
Yeah.
It meant I couldn't get my protein in.
Yeah.
You know, my morning was a bit confusing or discombobulated.
Yeah.
So I thought, nah, let's drink it.
So what are your top snack options right now during prep?
I don't actually snack. I just eat meals.
Okay.
So little and often.
Okay.
I don't eat in the morning. Yeah.
Okay.
Just not hungry.
What time do you eat then? Just what time is it more when you remember to eat that your first meal?
No, it's like clockwork. I tend
Okay.
to go through this like 12 to 14-hour fasting stage.
Yeah.
I like to eat up until bedtime whilst I can't sleep.
I see. Okay.
And I think sleep is very important in this.
So your eating window is more just
More
pushed later in the
later in
day.
the
So
day.
you're eating late at night.
Yes.
And we talk about all these people that eat a calorie past 7 p.m. at night and you'll start gaining weight.
Yeah.
If you're eating the same calories over a 24-hour period of time,
Yeah.
like you will weigh the exact same as though you would, if it's in different
Exactly.
space.
Still in the deficit.
Still in the deficit.
Still in the
It's all
deficit.
about the deficit.
Yeah, so I do that because it suits me,
Yeah.
it suits my body. It means I'm very fueled in the morning as well. So yes, my window is pushed to about 11, 12. Then I'll consume all the way up until bedtime. I do try and stick to certain windows,
Yep.
just so I don't feel that complete fatigue where I can't do anything. And that seems to be working. I also, when I do eventually want to begin to think about food, I drink a litre of water straight away
Right.
with some lemon. That rejuvenates me. And then I used to have coffee, but now I have tea.
Okay.
So I have 1 cup of decaf tea, and then I have a caffeinated tea, when I am training.
Final question.
Mm-hmm.
What are your top 5 favorite exercises for your lower glutes, upper hamstrings, that glute hamstring tie? What have built yours up to that level?
I would say definitely RDLs of all forms. So stiff leg,
Yeah.
sumo,
Yeah.
normal conventional RDL. I think normal conventional RDL works really well actually. It's something that's been going on since back in the day.
Yeah.
And I think it's a staple.
Yeah.
So I focus on those 3 variations,
Yeah.
I should say. Also doing hyperextensions, but the more rounded back approach, not coming up too
Yeah.
much, really squeezing in that glute-ham tie-in. I do love that. I also like doing the RDLs on the Smith. That I really got a connection with my glute-ham tie-in
Yeah.
as well. Hip thrust, because it does come into play,
Yeah.
especially when you're driving your legs up, your
Yeah.
hams do come in.
And you can recover from them a lot quicker. You
Yes.
get a lot more volume out there.
Yes.
Especially with you trying to manage fatigue.
Yes.
They're a really good addition to your training to help manage that.
Yes. I also like glute kickbacks machine and glute kickbacks using the cable with straight leg. Now, I used to do that a lot in gymnastics actually. We do that for flexibility wise, but doing that sort of movement, that slow movement back and hitting, that peak,
Yeah.
really works well.
What are your top 3 exercises for, because you've got killer abdominals and I know a lot of it comes from that gymnastic background.
Yes.
What are your top 3 exercises for abdominals?
V-sits.
Okay.
And leg lifts. I love a Russian twist as well.
How are you doing a Russian twist? Are you holding a kettlebell or are you just doing it body weight alone?
Holding a huge heavy ball,
Okay.
or a kettlebell, or whatever
Yeah.
I can find.
Yeah.
A weight as well, you can do it that way.
Yeah.
I like holding a ball. Sometimes I used to do, depending on space and who's around me, more like a slam down.
Yes, okay.
Slam down. I
Keep
don't
it
know.
interesting, mix
Quite
it up.
interesting,
Yeah.
I love slamming balls.
Okay.
It's quite fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are my 3 staples. Also, going back to, I like dishes. I don't know if
Okay.
anyone knows a
Yeah.
dish hold.
Like a hollow hold.
Hollow hold,
Like
yes.
with your arms overhead.
Yes.
Okay, yes.
Like
okay.
your feet are 2 inches from the ground.
Almost the
so-
opposite of a plank. Kind
Yeah.
of. Yeah.
Yeah, so what I used to do for my abs before I did bodybuilding, which gave me really good abs, was I would do hollow hold into an arch hold and rock side to side to side to side.
Yeah.
Quite painful, but it keeps that tension. Also, I noticed when I did do them that it does help with vacuuming.
Yeah.
So I put the 2 and 2 together. So I tried to look at things I used to do and incorporate it in because it used to work then.
Yes.
Why wouldn't it work now?
It sounds to me like you've got very good awareness of your abdominals as well.
Yes.
So even just taking yourself down, because obviously, you know, people like to do loaded abdominal training and that's great, you know, being able to do something with a weight versus without.
Yeah.
But people don't often get the foundations right and being able to actually have that connection with their abdominals by just simply using their own body weight.
Yes.
So it sounds to me as though that's something that really was ingrained into you from a very young age, that super body awareness.
Yes.
What's working. So even now you can make, you know, the easiest body weight sets of abdominal work, you know, seem really, really hard because you've got the tension and
Yeah.
you bring it up to that level.
Yes, I always make sure it burns. And also, when it comes to abdominal work, I always make sure that I do abdominal work when I'm doing compounds. That actually has kept my abdominals the way it is as well. So making sure that my abs are engaged when I'm squatting,
Yeah.
or they're engaged when I'm doing RDLs, for example, or when I'm doing a hack squat, you can still engage your abs.
Yes.
Which I think some people don't realize, but you
Yes.
can. You can
Yeah.
engage your abs in pretty much every exercise.
Yeah, if you've got that awareness of them,
Yes.
then it transfers, because it's called the core for a reason. It's in the middle of your body. It connects your lower to your
Yeah.
upper body. You know, if you've got that super awareness of what's going on there,
Yeah.
then you're going to be doing RDLs a lot better. You're going to be
Yeah.
squatting better. You can even bench press better. You know,
Yeah.
just by having some better awareness of
Yeah.
things. And your core, you know, your glutes are part of your core as well.
Exactly.
So you know, just having that good awareness around those areas is massively important.
Yeah, I even think about it when I'm walking.
Okay. As in
I
like.
know that's too deep, but
Step one butt cheek, step the other butt cheek.
yeah, sometimes before, let's say before a show, I'll be squeezing.
Okay, yeah.
It might look a bit strange walking, but
Yeah.
hey, I don't care.
See, anyone that views this now, if they ever see you in real life, they're just going to be walking behind you in person.
Yeah.
Just to see what's going on.
Yeah, with my butt cheeks.
Yeah, exactly. You're just drawing attention now.
Yeah, exactly.
see?
Yeah. Oopsie, sorry, but yeah. I try to utilize my time.
Yeah.
No matter what I do.
Yes. Get
Even
as much out of your day as you can.
yes, exactly. So even as you know, touching on posing, I pose between the sets. You know, I'll be doing like little vacuums and
Yeah.
just making sure everything's in check. So that way I don't have to think, oh no, I've got to do weights, I've got to do gymnastics, I've got to do warm up, I've got to do this posing. You know what I mean? It just just drowns out my day, and I don't want that. I want my day to end on a high.
Yes.
I don't want to think I have all this stuff to do. You know, I'll be like, oh, is that what I have to do? Great, let's get on with it. That is how I like to plan my day.
Yeah.
I don't like to bog down my mind because once I get too flustered, my whole day crashes.
Yeah.
So I'm the type of person that needs to be in control of my day and making sure that I'm getting things done without thinking about it too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the big thing with you, and what's brought the success to you in multiple disciplines that you've seen is that, you know, it's that discipline, it's that structure, you know, and how you approach each day that's, you know, ultimately allowed you to achieve what you have done.
Yes.
And it's something we can all learn from, and all start applying the time that we do have
Yeah.
in the right areas, in the right tasks, in the right areas of our lives.
Yes,
To
yeah.
you know, to better each of those areas. And
Yeah.
you know, another thing, again, with the conversation with you is we can all level up, right? We can
Yeah.
all do something a little bit better than what we were doing
Exactly.
before. We can all, you know, you've transitioned to different sports
Yeah.
as well, you know, and then the first time you stepped on stage, that was outside your comfort zone,
Yes. Yeah.
but you did it
Yeah.
because it was a challenge, and
Yes.
look at what's happened as a result of that as well.
Exactly.
So absolutely, you know, there's a lot of lessons we can learn from that. But anyway, absolutely lovely conversation, and hopefully everyone's got a few kind of nuggets of information that they can use in their own training, as well as a little bit of motivation from Shelley, from Michelle here, to kind of use in your own lives, in your own, whether it be fat loss or competition prep or anything like that. There's a lot we can learn from this conversation. But thank you for joining us today, and please remember to like and subscribe.